Okay. Hello, everyone, and a very warm welcome to the episode 3 of Inside Implementation. This is a webinar series which is aimed at bringing together experiences of implementation on ground, mainly of tobacco control policies in India. And today, for this episode, we are discussing the provision of smoke free places, public places, and the implementation experiences that a diverse panel has. So, we're privileged to have with us a very diverse panel who are geographically spread out across India, but also from different departments working towards tobacco control. So, to start the session, I'll do a brief introduction of all our panelists and then we'll get into the topic. I'm pleased to introduce Mr. Shering Wangchuk Lepcha, who is the Additional Secretary to the Honorable Chief Minister of Sikkim East District. Mr. Lepcha has been engaged in several youth movements in the state and has promoted the prohibition of tobacco use amongst the youth. He has brought together the youth of the state through various initiatives like starting non-profit organizations, movements related to musicians and artists, through which he has taken the message of say no to drugs and say no to tobacco. And he has been an active member in the implementation of public health policies in the state, along with the municipal body, who has campaigned against tobacco and antisocial elements. So we welcome you, Mr. Shering, to the panel today.
Yes. Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me. It's a privilege to be here.
Thank you. Yeah. I'd now like to introduce you to Dr. Rana Jugdeep Singh, who is the Deputy Regional Director of Southeast Asia region of the Union. Dr. Rana Jugdeep Singh has over 25 years of experience in public health at the subnational, national, and international level. As a medical doctor, he has specialized training in managing chest diseases and promoting lung health. Dr. Rana has focused on control of tuberculosis, lung diseases, HIV/AIDS, and tobacco control since 1992. He's been involved in the implementation of the revised National TB Control Program and the National AIDS Control Program. And as a WHO consultant, he has worked in TB control and advanced HIV TB collaborations. Dr. Rana is currently leading the tobacco control and NCD control programs of the Union, where he's supporting policy development, implementation, enforcement of legislation, capacity building, and establishing networks and partnerships. And currently evaluating programs in the countries of Southeast Asian region. We welcome you, Dr. Rana.
Thank you, Dr. Pargati. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. And we have Mr. Saju Itti with us, who is the Executive Director of Kerala Voluntary Health Services. He has over 28 years of experience in development programs, and he has taken up various tobacco control programs and has been instrumental in guiding the leaders to declare Kottayam district in Kerala as the second smoke-free jurisdiction in India. He has also filed a PIL in a public interest litigation in Kerala High Court against celluloid advertisement. And this case judgment has helped the Ministry of Health to issue film rules in the year 2012. He is currently working towards comprehensive tobacco control policies in the state of Kerala. We are pleased to have you with us today, Mr. E.T. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Pragati. Thank you.
Yeah. And I'd like to introduce Mrs. Isha Pant, who is the Deputy Commissioner of Police, Command Center, Bangalore. She is an IPS officer of the 2011 batch from Madhya Pradesh cadre and later moved to Karnataka cadre. In 2017, she joined as the Superintendent of Police of Tumkur district, where she was the first woman SP in the district. She was posted as a DCP or a Deputy Commissioner of Police in Bangalore Southeast Division, where she became a role model for many women police staff in bringing them up in their career. She has been part of the implementation of no smoking policy in her jurisdiction very strictly. And she has also steered initiatives towards drugs and tobacco control. She has worked closely with the public as well as several government agencies in implementing the prohibition of smoking in public places. And she's been also a champion in steering mixed martial arts training and self-defense for the women staff in the police stations by giving them training for more than 5 to 6 months. I think Mrs. Pant is slightly delayed because of a meeting with the Commissioner of Bangalore Police. So we hope she'll join us soon. In the meantime, I would like to introduce today's topic, which is the prohibition of smoking in public places. Vivek, if you could please move to the next slide. So this particular provision of Cigarettes and Other Tobacco Products Act, or COTPA, states that no person shall smoke in any public place. There are exceptions, so this is not 100% smoke-free, covering all jurisdictions. The exceptions to the smoke-free places include hotels where there are more than 30 rooms, or restaurants with a seating capacity of more than 30 persons, and airports. So these three places have a provision of making a designated smoke-free area with which has specifications, and this particular provision has come into effect since 2008. The main expectations from this are that no smoking signage according to the specification provided by Government of India is put up at prominent locations in the public places. Second thing is that there should be a person who is identified, especially on these boards also, the person who is supposed to enforce this, the person is identified. And lastly, people should not be smoking in any of these public places. To talk about how the enforcement is happening, there is a list of authorized officials, which is a list of about 21 different people. So this includes right from the police to the health officials to various other departments, to ensure that there's a large workforce who can implement these provisions. Next slide, please. To talk about smoking, the current prevalence and where we stand in terms of secondhand smoke exposure. So in India, the smoking prevalence as per the Global Adult Tobacco Survey round 2 is 10.7%. That is people only smoking, and which is about 99.5 million individuals. And as you can see, there's a wide diversity among states in terms of prevalence. Some states with very high prevalence and some with not so high. On the right hand side, what you see is the comparison of exposure to secondhand smoke, which is an indicator of how we are doing in terms of smoke-free provisions. So the orange bars refer to the 2009-10 report, and the blue ones refer to the 2016-17 report. So as you can see, there is good progress in terms of exposure to secondhand smoke at home and in public transport and restaurants. But in the other three spaces, especially the workplace, which is where a lot of focus of these provisions go, there has not been much. In fact, there's been a mild worsening. And lastly, to talk a bit about the smoke-free journey so far in India. So starting in 2007, Chandigarh was the first place to be first city as well as a small union territory to be declared as smoke-free, followed by Kottayam, and then Sikkim was the first state, and Shimla in Himachal, Kohima, which is in Nagaland with quite a high prevalence of smoking. Apart from this, in several other villages as well as cities, there have been ongoing efforts like Jhunjhunu in Rajasthan and Varnavasi in Tamil Nadu, etc., where efforts are ongoing to make places smoke-free. So today we are privileged to have with us people from different geographies across India, people including from Sikkim, which was also the first state to go smoke-free in India. So without further ado, what I would like to do is that to bring in our panelists, and we propose to have a short discussion, a structured discussion on how these various jurisdictions have gone about implementing smoke-free provisions. So I'd like to start with Mr. Shering. If you could tell us briefly what has been your role being part of the Chief Minister's office as well as working with municipal bodies in making Sikkim smoke-free?
First of all, I'd like to thank Mr. Kumaran P. and Institute of Public Health, Bangalore, for organizing this Ban India webinar on implementation of the ban on public smoking, and my gratitude to the esteemed members in the panel list. Well, regarding I've been recently appointed as the additional political secretary to the Chief Minister, which I was appointed back in August 2020, this year only. But prior to that, I've been engaged with many non-governmental organizations called Organization of Musicians and Artists of Sikkim. I'm one of the founder member, along with Himalayan Ethnic Lepcha Fashion Event. I'm also one of the founder member of that organization, and one of the first registered motor, which was registered back in 2000. Bikers in that, and through that NGO, we were able to work and bring awareness on a massive scale by organizing huge events, rock shows, in heart of town in Gangtok, and through that events,
I think we might have lost Mr. Shering. There have been some internet issues because of the weather, in internet and electricity issues. We hope to have him back soon. In the meantime, I'd like to invite Dr. Rana to briefly share with us his role being part of a large international non-governmental organization which works with a lot of research in this area. So from a national perspective, what has been his role in the smoke-free journey so far in India? Dr. Rana, over to you.
So first of all, good afternoon to all of you. So thank you. So I will keep my video off just to ensure that I am not disconnected. So thank you once again. First of all, thanks to IPH for organizing this very important webinar and inviting me to share my experience. You see, the union started working on implementation of smoke-free policies, and we says under Section 4 of COTPA, even before the smoke-free rules under Section 4 were notified. We initiated our work with 4 major projects. That was smoke-free Chennai, smoke-free Delhi, smoke-free Ahmedabad. So these were 3 major projects. Along with we started with many smaller jurisdictions to implement smoke-free policies. You see, we were all new, and everything which we gained, any experience, that was a collective work which we learned from each of those jurisdictions. In the beginning, we also worked with the Advocacy Forum for Tobacco Control to conduct some quick surveys to assess the status of enforcement of Section 4 of COTPA and what is the public opinion. So this was very important. Is there any public support for smoke-free policies? So we started with this work. And as Dr. Pragati already mentioned, Chandigarh was first a smoke-free city. And we also visited Chandigarh to know how Chandigarh has implemented its smoke-free policy and how it has gone smoke-free. So we also documented a case study on smoke-free Chandigarh experience. Thereafter, we worked with various partners. And as you mentioned, Kottayam was the second jurisdiction in 2009, which became smoke free. And there was a different. So basically, Chandigarh Smoke Free, that was mainly a civil society driven, you can say, initiative. But in Kottayam, it was a collaboration between administration and the civil society. We worked with jurisdiction across the country in 2010, which includes Shimla, Sikkim State, then Coimbatore, Villupuram, Bhubaneswar in 2010. I personally almost spent many days in state of Sikkim, visited all the 4 districts, East Sikkim, West, North and South Sikkim, stayed many days in the city of Gangtok, uh, just to know, met many officials, including Health Minister, Director Health Services, Joint Director at that time, Dr. Pradhan. So we got a lot of, and I personally learned a lot from experience of Sikkim also. Thereafter, we worked with many other states like state of Mizoram, many districts in state of Kerala, then almost in every state, the program or enforcement of Section 4 was initiated in 2011 and 12. So many districts and states, they were one by one, they implemented, they enforced the Section 4 of COTPA. Even at that time, there was quite people were not aware of exact difference between what is implementation of smoke-free policies, what is enforcement, what is compliance. So we were discussing it with all the stakeholders, what is mean by all these words and definitions. And one by one, many jurisdictions were declared smoke-free based on a third-party compliance assessment. So whenever some enforcement was done, a compliance assessment study was also done. So in the beginning, we conducted almost 18 opinion polls in different jurisdictions, including Sikkim, including you can say in southern states, in places like Shimla, Bhubaneswar, Mohali, Mansa, in Punjab. So many opinion polls were conducted, and all opinion polls clearly demonstrated that yes, public want smoke-free cities. They want that all public places should be smoke-free, and even smokers, they all also want that their families should visit those places. So thereafter, we also supported smoke-free policies through capacity building. We conducted first smoke-free workshop in our country in year 2008, when just after smoke-free rules were notified, and a workshop was conducted where stakeholders from all the states and even stakeholder ministries were invited, especially the home ministries, the people from transport, tourism, education. So first, until date, Dr. Pragati, we have conducted 9 national smoke-free workshops, in addition to almost training 500,000 people, 5 lakh people in Section 4, as well as in under various other provisions of COTPA. And also to support smoke-free policies, we also conducted a signage campaign. You just showed a signage, no smoking signage, which is a trademark for us. No presence of a no smoking signage is very, very crucial. It tells us about the smoke-free status of a city, of a public place. So we distributed 500,000 signages to each and every district in the country. At that time, 640 districts, the no smoking signages were sent to each district collector with a letter from Ministry of Health that these are the signages under Section 4 of COTPA, and you are requested to ensure display of smoke-free signages in each of the public places. In addition to that, we also supported smoke-free Commonwealth Games in 2010, which you are aware that were held in the country, and that gave a really an excellent message. No, every venue in during smoke-free Commonwealth Games, every place of stay for the participant and delegates, that was ensured that no one smokes there. In addition to that, almost we conducted more than, I think, 200 surveys, Dr. Pragati, till date, compliance assessment surveys, where we have supported our partners, state governments, academic institutions, to assess baseline, what is the current status before implementation, what is the midline compliance, and what is the endline compliance. And if compliance is high, we recommend that jurisdiction should be declared smoke-free. So thereafter, those government authorities, maybe for example, Chief Minister of Himachal Pradesh, he declared Shimla as smoke-free. Health Minister of Sikkim declared Sikkim as free. Similarly, Health Minister of Himachal Pradesh declared whole state as smoke-free. Similarly, from your state, in state of Karnataka, and then health ministers and education ministers, so they declared various jurisdiction one by one, district collectors. So it is excellent that this declaration is done about the status of implementation of Section 4, and this gives a sense of achievement to those people who have done that. So this is about a small journey, and till date, roughly an estimated 200 public cities, districts, and states. You mentioned about Sikkim. Yes, Sikkim, among small states, Sikkim is the first state which was declared smoke-free. Among the large state, it was Himachal Pradesh was first state, and thereafter state of Delhi, and then state of Punjab. They also are the large states which have been declared smoke-free. And currently, I am happy to say that Section 4 implementation, which leads to smoke-free, has emerged as most acceptable and popular tobacco control policy intervention to implement in India. So this is in brief, and I will also like to share a few pictures and how declaration is done.
Sure.
Maybe if you allow me to share my screen,
Sure.
let me see. 1 second. Let me see whether I can do that.
Yes, I think it should be possible at the bottom of the
share screen, advanced sharing, one participant can share. So can I think you have closed your screen, I hope.
So since
yes,
currently
let
nothing
me
is
see.
shared, I
Okay.
think you should be able to share it.
Okay,
Yes.
please see whether you can see my screen.
Not yet.
No, we are not able to see.
Let me see once again. So here I have a share screen option. Share.
Yes.
Let me see. Yes, I think it is done. Yes. So
Yes.
can you see it now?
Yes. Yes.
So you see,
Yes,
so
yes,
for
yes.
so this is a picture from state of Himachal Pradesh, where State Health Minister Mr. Kaul Singh Thakur, he's releasing a certificate that I am pleased to declare state of Himachal Pradesh as smoke-free. So this is done after a robust compliance assessment study. In Himachal Pradesh, compliance assessment study was done by Himachal Pradesh University Shimla and Government Medical College in Shimla. So these after that, when government found that yes, compliance is good, so they were pleased to declare this state as smoke-free. And I also got an opportunity to be there at that event. Now you see next. So this kind of certificate is released. So this is a certificate from Ajmer district in Rajasthan. So you see it says that Dhumarpan Mukt Ajmer, smoke-free Ajmer, Independence Day on 2015, and it has been signed by Mayor of Ajmer, District Collector, Superintendent of Police, Chief Medical Officer, then Zilla Parishad Chairman. So everyone has signed that certificate, and then they declare this site certificate in a public event in the presence of a press. And now you see, I would also be like, so these are few pictures where respective ministers of districts, they are declaring their jurisdiction, Nagaur and Alwar districts and Rajasthan, where you can see Superintendent of Police, District Collector of, they are releasing a certificate of smoke-free declaration of their districts. You see, this is a picture from Kanpur, a very big event where more than 10,000 people were present, and this tobacco-free declaration, basically it was a smoke-free, but they said that we want to go for tobacco-free. So this declaration was done on World No Tobacco Day in 2015 by Honorable UP Uttar Pradesh Agriculture Minister. There were local MLAs were present, Principal Health Secretary was present, and many other officials were present, and the event which was attended by almost 10,000 people. You see, this is again from Kanpur Urban. This is another declaration, and this is a picture from state of West Karnataka, where the then health minister, Mr. UT Khadar, and another I think another minister. So they are declaring their smoke-free urban Bangalore rural district as smoke-free, and following a compliance assessment study done by a third-party compliance assessment study. So in that way, if you, Dr. Pragati, if you ask me what is the progress and how we have contributed, so 2009, you can see, I am not putting as 2009, one jurisdiction, and this is Kottayam, and our Sajuiti is here. So Kottayam, thereafter in 2010, 6 more districts or cities, then in 2011. So this journey continued, and till date, we have 170 plus districts and cities, including 4 major states, that is Sikkim, Himachal Pradesh, Punjab, and Delhi, which has got high level of compliance to implementation of Section 4 policies. And this is another way of telling what we have tried to monitor the progress, where you can see some green jurisdictions. You can see Sikkim is still green on right side, on the right top. And all the 4 districts at that time, they achieved high level of compliance. And you see, these are green districts, which is roughly more than 170. You can see some orange districts where there is good progress. They are in an advanced stage. They are implementing Section 4 of COTPA, and they are in advanced stage of implementation. There is enforcement is happening. The enforcement squads have been constituted. There is a head of account has been created. So they are in advanced stage, and there are some blue jurisdiction. So still, I would like to say that still a lot of work needs to be done. So this is a few the journey and the work which we have done. So this I would like to share with you. Thank you. Over to you, and apologies for taking some more time. Thank you very much.
Pragati, I'm back. My network was disconnected.
Yes, Mr. Sharif.
We are having my area is having a bad network today.
Yes.
So Mr. Rana, that was a very good presentation from your side. See, what I was telling was back in 2010, when this the Act of 2003 was passed into the past, Sikkim started implementing this Act from 2008, and in 2008, all the 4 districts of the state were covered under the Act. In the initial stage, it was tough to deal the issue. However, with sincere dedication and vision of smoke-free Sikkim, awareness campaigns and no smoking signatures were initiated in some of the public places like government offices, motor stands, restaurants, hotels, etc. As you know, Pragati, Sikkim is a very small state. It's just 7,096 square kilometer, and it's like around 76 person per square kilometer. So it's a very small state, but in 2 years of time, the entire series of sensitization and training workshop for program officers, law enforcers, including all police officers, medical officers, all personal health, NGOs, civil society, media, and others. There was a massive campaign in urban and rural areas, and the result was very encouraging. You know, just in within a span of 2 years since its implementation, that is like from 2008 to 2010, Sikkim, under the guidance of health department and a lot of health directors and ministers, Sikkim was able to be known as a smoke-free state on 31st May 2010, which is also known as the World Tobacco Free World Tobacco Day. 31st May is declared as that. So on that day, Sikkim was declared as no smoke-free state, you know, and is under the supervision of Sustainable Coordination Committee has been constituted under the chairmanship of Chief Secretary. District level coordination committee has been constituted under the chairmanship of district magistrate. Further, now the new government, which formed last year in the month of May 2019. Since 1 year, we are now planning to increase it to the block level committee, village health and sanitation committee. We are trying to more people aware of. Hello, are you hearing me?
Yes.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes, and like I said, I was part of an NGO which is known as Dirty Angel Motorcycle Club, which is the first registered NGO of Sikkim, and we have been working in organizing events to bring awareness. You know, only by banning and only by fining the people, it's not good for the society. We need to bring, and we need to make people participate in such noble causes, and through NGOs like our club, we were able to organize a big rock show whereby we organize signature campaigns where we appeal to the people to sign on that placard and on that banner, saying that we support no smoking in public places. You know, so we were able to collect more than 3,000 to 4,000 signatures in one day. So that event was known as Blue Heart Rock Show. And on 2011, we were able to organize one huge musical event for 2 days in Saramsa, which is in East Sikkim, and we were able to involve more than 30 to 40 bands all over from northeast of India. A lot of bands came from Nagaland, Mizoram, West Bengal, Darjeeling, Korsang. You know, there were around 30 bands, and on that day also more than we were able to collect more than 10 to 15,000 signatures, whereby we appealed to the public and audience on that day to support no smoking in public places. So these are the things we need to inculcate. And if there is sense of participation, and if there is sense of participation, and if there is sense of belonging towards the land, obviously we will be able to spread awareness. Banning is not important. You know, importance is to bring awareness, and voluntary participation is very, very important for the society to feel that smoking is bad in public places. Because when you smoke in public places, you are not only harming yourself, but you are harming the people and the society as well. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hello.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. So it's been very interesting to see the two approaches used so far. One shared by Dr. Rana on how the government, along with the union, has gone about very systematically, right from sharing the exact details of the signages, to template signages to all the departments, to ensuring all these trainings as well as workshops are conducted for people, and a very interesting perspective from Sikkim on how it's important to engage the public. Unless we engage citizens, the buy-in and the compliance from their side will not be there. It's interesting how music has also been used in different South African countries, especially
Yes,
by
yes.
the tobacco industry. They sponsor a lot of events to make sure that their branding goes ahead. And here it's very nice to see how music has been used by civil society, and bringing together so many youth and people across different states in the northeastern region to spread the message of staying away from tobacco. So thank you very much for sharing those two perspectives. And now we listen to Mrs. Pant from who's the Deputy Commissioner of Police, Command Center in Bangalore, followed by Mr. Saju Etty from the Kerala Voluntary Health Services. Mrs. Pant, if you've been able to join us, if you could please.
Yeah.
Yes.
So very hearty good afternoon to everybody. I'm sorry I'm traveling. I'm between meetings and suddenly some meetings came up. So I'm in my vehicle. But I must congratulate Institute of Public Health for organizing an event relating to a very, very pertinent topic and very, very important issue of which really affects all of us. And that is of tobacco and the use of tobacco and the laws relating to it. So yeah, I'm glad I got to hear different perspectives today, and very very happy to see how music art I think is a very very strong medium to spread awareness, and I'm happy to see that everybody's coming up with such innovative measures to deal with this issue. I will briefly talk about what Karnataka Police has done and Bangalore Police has been doing regarding this very, very important issue. So there was a global adult tobacco survey that was done, in which it was said that that in the state of Karnataka, the prevalence of tobacco was around 28.2%, with 19.4% consuming smokeless tobacco, 4.4% consuming cigarettes, and almost 8.3% consuming BD. So this was something that we have to understand before we go about before we go about implementing. As we percentage of people smoking cigarettes or consuming tobacco through smoking cigarettes is 4.4%. But in cities and areas, the number is much higher, and the consumption of cigarettes is much more in in the population. So we have been focusing more on restricting smoking in public places, and Karnataka has actually taken many steps in implementing the code law. So I will one by see. So there is something called as monthly crime review meetings in our system, wherein we review what is the number of crimes that have been committed and what are the number of cases which are registered. So what Karnataka did, or Karnataka police did, was to ensure that we include the number of CODPA cases registered in our monthly crime review. Now, when hello,
Yes,
hello,
please go ahead. Yes.
yeah. Yeah, so when we included that in our monthly crime review meetings, we realized that the implementation really improved, because when the SP or the IG sits in a meeting and they start asking about the implementation in a monthly review or in a regular crime review meeting, then the implementation obviously increases, because we start asking questions. Why are the cases not being implemented? Because when we go out on the street, we do see people smoking cigarettes in the public, or we do see sometimes, for instance, Section 6, which forbids any kind of selling of tobacco products to 18 years and lower, or to basically juveniles, or should not be, no tobacco selling should happen within 100 meters of a educational institute. So all these things, when we start asking questions, definitely improve. So that was one of the things that the Karnataka City Police did, and Karnataka State Police did, and we started seeing uh, the high number of cases relating to Kotpa. Also, there was we started rewarding districts which were doing good implementation. There was a nodal officer who was appointed at the district level, who would monitor this. So in the district, it was usually the additional SP, who is actually the nodal officer, and he or she continuously monitors the implementation of this act. Then also we have Kotpa in an NIC portal as well. So it is kotpa.kar.nic.in, wherein all the implementation is reviewed. So it can be reviewed by anybody, like right from the chief secretary to DGP. They can see few things which I think were quite helpful in ensuring good implementation. And we saw that the numbers were huge. So around 12 crores worth of fine has been collected, and we have something called as emergency response vehicles, called as Hoysalas. They have also been authorized to fine people when they see smoking in public happening, and daily, or targets are given, especially when we know that there are certain places which are which see such kind of regular mm, disobedience to the law happening. We ensure that our personnel go there, find them, and also take action on the person who is selling and who is doing things in contravention to the law. So, and the close monitoring by the superior officers has ensured good implementation. But definitely, we do have a long way to go. Now I'm on the street, I can see, maybe see a couple of cases where people might gather near some panwala's shop and smoke their cigarettes. So these cases do happen. There's no 100% implementation of the law. There's still more to be done, but I think we have come a long way from where we are a couple of years back, maybe 7 years back or 8 years back. And our police officers do ensure that while they are on the rounds, they take action on such people.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing about Karnataka's journey so far, and emphasizing the role of police and how monitoring and reviewing mechanisms have helped help mobilize action across the police department, especially. I would now like to invite Mr. Saju Itti to share about his experience from Kottayam in Kerala.
Thank you, Shah. First of all, I wanted to congratulate IPH. I am IPH and people behind this excellent webinar and selecting this subject as a third set of discussion. So means actually I wanted to thanks to Isha, Ranaji and Tasharing. They had a very excellent presentation regarding the smoke-free jurisdictions, because their experience is much more greater because than what we have actually. But my experience in the tobacco smoke-free jurisdiction is, of course, I am representing a civil society. So my role is always a role of the civil society. So I wanted to share the role of civil society in the, because that is my role actually. So actually, when we are thinking about the smoke-free jurisdiction and any activity regarding the smoke-free jurisdiction, first, I think I am very proudly I wanted to say that, because without having a very authentic civil society partnership, no jurisdiction can be assured sustainability and continuity of tobacco means smoke-free status. Because out of my experience, what I am seeing is that because civil society is a very thriving force. Of course, administration should do the implementation. Administration is very much needed for the enforcement and policy making and everything. But civil society is, the first role of the civil society is facilitating role. So they have to be facilitate all these things, and they wanted to oiling the process of the administration, because administration like Isha actually a very proactive administrator in this country. I really congratulate her. But I think because they have a lot of other responsibilities, many responsibilities every day coming, new responsibilities are coming up. So they could not be always be focused on smoke-free, tobacco-free, and that type of issues. But a civil society can always bring them back to the rail, always. If they have some urgent activities and that type of things, the civil society can bring them again back to the rail immediately and saying that, ma'am, you have to be do this, you have to be do this thing. It's a facilitating role a civil society should be do. Second thing is that a technical partner. Civil society is always a technical partner. And I think because many places, because and in my experience is also, many of the rules and proceedings and that type of things actually drafted first in the hands of the civil society people, as technical people in the civil society. And after that, it is going to the government, and because government people have not having much role to prepare a draft, because normally regarding a rule, actually most time consuming process is to draft it, and after that it is scrutinize it and that type of things. I think because government people can very technically scrutinize it, the legal department can scrutinize it and fit it to the administrative and statutory provisions and that type of thing. But a vague draft always be is easy to prepare by the civil society with the technical expert. Then it will be more effective also, and more technically backup order also, backup proceedings also. So yes, so a civil society is always a technical partner in drafting orders and rules, and the training also, because in the many areas, the training, the civil society can do an excellent role in training the police personnel. And means I think because it's not needed to separate training or something like that. It's not needed actually, because police training institute is doing a lot of training. We can collaborate with them, civil society can collaborate with them, and bring a 1 hour or a half an hour or a 2 hour and introduce tobacco control in the main agenda, in the training agenda. So that they can do. And third one is the legal aid. Because what I am saying is that because why the many of the enforcement officials are not willing to do the enforcement is that they don't want to take the burden of the legal proceedings thereafter. So many I know that, because in Ernakulam and in many places, our active, very proactive administrative officials or a field level enforcement official, means the tobacco companies is always been bike of the petty shop owners and that type of, they will be filing the case in high court actually, because saying that because this man is means a lot of litigation. I don't want to go to that part, but anyway, lot of litigation will be coming out, and they wanted to wrap up all these active administrators, active enforcers. So I think that part, I think the civil society can do an excellent part and take their cases and means save their time and give them means some what we can say, some prevention we can made up. Another thing is that the filling the gaps in the, that is another role of the civil society. Interdepartmental relations. You know that because the health department, police, and civil means revenue department, several departments. The tobacco control is a joint effort. It's not a health department business. It's a joint effort because police is there needed, excise is needed, food safety is needed, health is needed, and almost all department is needed. Even local body, local self-government department is needed. So civil society can coordinate, I think, because they can be fill the gap between these departments and bringing people together. And another area of gap is that reporting and communication. So in the, we know that in the government, many of the government departments, ma'am told already, we are in NIC portal and that about things. That is excellent. But along with that, because we need monthly reporting and that about things is also needed. But many a times it is not happening in a proper time. So civil society can do a very excellent part in supporting the government for reporting and communication, building up some system for reporting, communication, and helping the administration. Another thing is that putting some system in place, because already systems are there. As I told in the beginning, sometimes it may be means shifted from the proper place. So the civil society can always be put it in the place in always. Another major role civil society is needed is that coalition building. So that is means I also, because involved in many activities in building up coalition. Because in Ernakulam, we declare Ernakulam in 2012 as tobacco free. That time we have our coalition partners is 35 to 40 coalition partners we have, including residents association, apex bodies, and even small active sports clubs are also there. So it's a very great coalition. They are building up the opinion in the area, and they are back of the administration. Then administration is so much happy because they have a people's movement back. Then they will be very actively doing something. So the coalition building is the most important part of the smoke-free jurisdiction. It means how big our coalition, that will be the sustainability of our program. How big our coalition, that is the indicator of our success. Actually, another thing is that opinion building. So that I already told the coalition and the people's movement and opinion. We conducted several people's opinion polls before declaring the and give the media release many a times. So that's why the administration is understand that the people are back of them. So people's opinion is here. So then the action will be so easy. Another thing is, another area I wanted to be mentioned is that because the civil society should do the media campaign, because lot of hindrance the government officials in the meeting with the media, because you know that the PRD department is doing the media and always means now recently the Kerala government already told no release will be given by any administrator without the approval of the PRD. So it's sometimes it will be happening in everywhere. So but the civil society is always free, and they can give the release, they can give the brief the media, and always be, I think, because they can bring this job so fill this gap with the media and our activities. So these are the major roles I played as a almost all the district in Kerala is smoke free now. But only thing is that because only 7 districts we declared, other districts are not officially declared in the sense. So, but our prevalence was come down from, you know, that it's only 9.3 only, 21.4, 18 from 18 to we come down to 9.3. So as you know, because bringing down the prevalence from 85 to 60 may be a little easy, but it is very difficult to bring 18 to 9.3. So I think because we wanted to congratulate our all the administrators, government, and that type of people who behind that thing. The Kerala now the prevalence is 9.3. Our next target is less than 5. I mean the next got study. That's why we are working. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing about Kerala, about the important role that civil society organizations play and how they can catalyze, sometimes coordinate, and also ensure that the work by the government is well supported and engaging the media as well. So I think there have been very interesting comments and discussion in the chat section, and there have been a few questions. But I think owing to the lack of time, I will attempt to take only maybe one or two. So one is to Mr. Shering. If you can keep the response very brief, that would help us cover one or two questions, is regarding the presence of tobacco industry, because in the northeastern states, the presence is limited. So what is the kind of resistance or challenge that you face in tobacco control?
See, like I said, we are a newly formed government, formed last year in the year 2019, Tamil. And since then, this year after the pandemic, COVID-19 spread worldwide, Sikkim was also could not, was also able to, our government was able to lock down the borders and we're able to the spread of virus was not so excess, and we were known as zero COVID free state in India. And after that have come, but our leader, Sri Prem Singh Tamang, under his leadership, we were able to, on 17th April, 17th April 2020, we were able to pass a notification whereby consumption of smokeless tobacco products, chewable tobacco products, and non-tobacco was banned all over the state, by that government notification. And interference of tobacco industry in tobacco control program was also strictly adhered. And Sikkim is a border state whereby we have China in the north, Nepal in the west, Bhutan in the east, and of course West Bengal and Bangladesh, especially. We share 4 borders, and a lot of duty-free, what do you call, cigarettes, which is very cheap. In those areas, there's trouble of being smuggling of those cigarettes inside the state, and our state authority and police officers have vigilantly worked very hard to what do you call, to all to curtail down that that smuggling of smoking of cigarettes inside our state. So these are the issues that we are able to we are facing right now, and of course the state government have to face a lot of challenges as it's a newly formed government, and it totally our state is a small state and it relies on the central budget, and if the government of India is able to support our newly formed government by funding the state tobacco control cell, department, then we'll be able to work more in days to come. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So yes, I think I would like to thank on behalf of IPH and our project Anusthana, all the panelists today for joining us and sparing an hour and sharing your experiences in between your busy schedules. It has been excellent to hear about the different approaches that different departments have followed, right from the police on how the monitoring mechanisms were extremely crucial, and the enforcement, how it has been institutionalized within their their departmental structures, about civil society's role and the role of engaging public, and the important role played by organizations in supporting the government through technical expertise, through drafting legislations, through the various compliance assessment and the research data that has been produced on smoke-free implementation. This has been a very fascinating journey. So I think a few questions that are there in the chat box on how can we explain the variability in implementation. I think, as we have seen here, just within 3 to 4 states, how each state and each department has used a very different approach. I think that goes to explain partly why the implementation has been so varied. We have not been able to address all the questions, but I sincerely thank all the participants for staying along for an hour and engaging actively in the chat. Would like to thank Dr. Rakesh Gupta also to point out about the achievements of Jhunjhunu in Rajasthan, and along with the other districts and states that we spoke about today. So thanks a lot, everyone, once again for your time. And we will make this recording available shortly. Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much, Pragati. Thank you.
Thank
Nice
you,
talking
Mr.
to you. Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you,
Thank
Pragati,
you.
Vivek, and
Thank you,
Kumaran.
everybody.
Yes,
And Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to all the members in the panelists. Good
thank
day.
you. Thank you, Mrs.
Thank
Park.
you.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Dr. Rana. Thank you, Mr. Saju and Mr. Sharing.
Thank you.
Thanks for your
Bye
time.
bye.